Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, we bring you on an expedition through the depths of the movie industry to discuss the amazing, terrible, and amazingly terrible movies based on video games. Our hosts' entire lives are dedicated to a single goal. Probably answering the age-old question, do games make good movies?
Welcome back to Video Game Movie Anatomy. Formerly, Do Games Make Good Movies? We wanted to make it nice, wonderful branding. I am one of your hosts, the Internet Soapbox, Mark Donica, and today we're going to be talking Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within from 2001. But joining me, usually Patrick Dees. He is out on assignment, but I would like to introduce you to our newest contributor, Miss Stacey Legrand.
Hi guys, I'm Stacey Legrand.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
We have spun the occasional yarn about plenty of games, and I figured we would apply those skills to the film realm. And what a film to start with! Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. Some would argue not a direct translation of the franchise, but I think there's a lot of thematic elements that I wanted to cover. So we'll start off with what we're going to call a speed run, which is a quick review. It's a definitive statement about the film. Go ahead and start with yours.
Letting me start? All right. Well, it definitely was not quite the same fantasy level as the Final Fantasy game series, but it definitely had a lot of the same elements. It was still a fun sci-fi ride. As a sci-fi movie, it was a enjoyable bit.
Okay. And I would say that Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within stands the test of time as a visual spectacle. Now, does that mean the quality matches that of a lot of different movies? I would say yes. I would say it actually still holds up. There's a lot of dead-eye animation at times. You're like, there's nothing behind that face. But in terms of the scope, it really hits home as a first outing. It's quite the feast for the eyes. That was good. That was really good. We nailed it. Our first segment done. Right. in the bag. And next we're going to move on to what we're calling our controller toss moment. That moment when you're watching the film and you silently or very vocally have the "you gotta be kidding me." And with this film, I figure there were plenty of opportunities. What was yours? Oh, you had a couple?
Well, I think there was a moment when they're discussing with the council about what to do, and they're talking about how the Phantom, there's something deeper with the Phantoms, and just out of nowhere, the general just yells, "Where is the proof?" and gets I had to stop it for a second and go,
"Bro,
wait a second."
That scene had just basic action movie written all over it. Where's the proof?
Oh, yeah.
Right here. Then it's like, I've been infected, but it's been safe. Like that. Yeah, that was definitely one for me. But I didn't necessarily check out at the door. But knowing Hironobu Sakaguchi, he's got such a creative mind that it's one of those things where you can not turn off your brain, but you can accept a lot more because while this is Earth, this isn't an Earth that we know.
Absolutely. The sci-fi element to it, that kind of dystopian, post-apocalyptic type thing going on.
Mine, though, was the very end of the film. One of our main characters, Captain Gray Edwards, played by Alec Baldwin, we'll get to him in a moment, when he sacrificed himself for the good of the planet, for the good of Gaia, as the connecting link to...
that whole thing got a little ridiculous.
Alexis is a great yes. At the very end, where it's just like, "You told me there was life after death. You can't back out on me now that I'm starting to believe it. I love you." It's like, oh come on, man.
That was a tough moment.
That was bull honky. That I had gone with it so much. I had let so much stuff go. Especially when we get to the end of the show and we talk about our favorite lines. There's so much that I was like, okay, I'll accept this. this is important to the plot. Something that I like to do with these movies is I don't like to apply them to our world at all. This is this world. This world has rules. And if we apply to those rules, then you can relatively enjoy them. I did that to Super Mario Brothers. I did that to I tried to do that to Street Fighter, and I did that to Mortal Kombat. So there's definitely a lot to accept. But once you accept that this world is its own thing, I feel like there's a lot of movie to be enjoyed. And so The Spirits Within, it follows she's not a doctor, but she's a scientist, Aki Ross and Dr. Sid in their efforts to free a post-apocalyptic Earth from a mysterious and deadly alien race known as the Phantoms, which has driven the remnants of humanity into barrier cities. Aki and Sid must fight against General Hein, who wishes to use more violent means to end the conflict. Essentially, almost every science fiction movie.
Pretty much. It was a very, very cookie cutter science fiction movie.
And yet it still had that Final Fantasy stamp on it.
Yes.
Yes. So let's get started. Let's talk about some of our stars. The star of the film, Aki Ross, played by Ming-Na Wen. Very much known for her TV work as of late. With a very good stint on Eureka and currently on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Very, very popular. And kind of first burst onto the scene a lot earlier. We saw her early in the life of the show with Street Fighter, where she played Chun-Li. And I think, I was going to say arguably, her biggest hit is Mulan.
Absolutely.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Where do you think this performance stacks up amongst all of her previous work?
You know, I really enjoyed her performance in this. I think overall she had a very strong acting presence in the movie. I like, most of her lines were delivered very well. I don't think it's nearly as good as Mulan, and I really enjoy her Melinda May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's a completely different character than what we're used to.
Yes.
But we still had a very strong, badass female character who did, near the end of the film, fall into the trope, be like, no, Gray, I love you. But overall, she has her mind on a goal, and once she accomplishes that goal is when she allows herself to I can't believe I'm saying it. She allows herself to fall into love. Like, it's like, now that my part's done, all right, now that I can do it. Where are you going? Bro, no. Kind of.
A little bit.
That sound effect would not have been remiss in that scene. It was so cheesy, but very, very strong acting from her. I think in terms of voice roles, she's had some. It's definitely strong. And at the end, when we talk about who we decided to recast, it's hard to get away from the performance, which is good. Mm-hmm. That means she put her stamp on it, and she really connected with the character, and I'm really happy about that. Our second lead, our male lead, Captain Gray Edwards, played by the incomparable Alec Baldwin. His most recent hits being Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, just had a huge opening this past year. Still Alice, which didn't have a huge opening, but was a huge critical success. Mm-hmm. Don't go to that movie unless you're ready to cry, because my word. And then Aloha, which just kind of seemed like, hey, who do we want to reward with a Hawaiian vacation? I heard okay things about it, but Alec Baldwin, long career. Do you think this is more of a blight on his career, or do you think this is something he can look back on and go, I really enjoyed that. That was great.
I mean, yeah, he was a little more spotty at times, and his
you think so?
character as a whole, I think, was just a little less well defined. I don't think it's necessarily a blight, though, on his career. It's still a little bit of a fun.
This isn't like a Super Mario Brothers with Bob Hoskins, where it's like, worst thing I've ever done. I think for what he was given, he did great. He filled the role that he was supposed to as the steadfast captain, the roguish love interest. The weirdest thing, though, is you look at that model. I don't think Alec Baldwin. You know what that looks like to me? That looks like Ben Affleck. 100%.
Yeah.
Somebody saw Armageddon and was like, "That's Ben Affleck. We can't get Ben Affleck. Let's get Alec Baldwin."
Make it look like him, anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that also made the recasting process a little bit hard because you go, "Oh, that's Alec Baldwin." No, that's not. That's not supposed to be Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Whoops. Some other highlights of the cast. Remarkable cast.
It was a really, really stacked cast.
Ving Rhames, Steve Buscemi, Perry Gilpin, who is a name that people go, why do I know that? She was on Frasier. She was Roz on Frasier. Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland, James
Yeah.
Woods, Keith David, Gene Simmons, not that Gene Simmons, and Matt McKenzie, rounding out the generally the featured cast.
The main cast.
I mean, Buscemi was the lovable like
the comic relief
he was
of
comic
the
relief.
movie.
Perry was a strong female soldier. Ving Rhames was a strong soldier. They were, you could feel that they were a unit.
Yes.
Donald Sutherland though,
That was quite a performance.
you can put him in anything.
You can.
And one of the fun things that I liked about his character is he shows the tradition, that the one thing that made this a Final Fantasy production is in every single Final Fantasy there's a Cid.
Yes.
It's CID, and I think they changed it to SID just so Americans wouldn't get confused. But the fact that he was Cid, and it took me a little while because he's got one of those voices that you just know.
So you don't necessarily connect it right away.
Yeah, but then once you go, that's Donald Sutherland. Holy crap! What did you think about the rest of the cast?
I really enjoyed actually everyone's acting more or less in there. Donald Sutherland was great, and I love the nod to Sid. You know, it was bound to show up. Anything Steve Buscemi said, even though it was really cliche comic relief most of the time, I laughed at pretty much everything he said.
And that's
It
the thing
was great.
when you get actors of this caliber, it doesn't matter what the script can be cheesy, and it is cheesy, ridiculously cheesy
very
at times.
cheesy.
But if you've got a solid cast, they'll make you believe every word of it. And while Alec Baldwin's were just and James Woods, everybody's lines were relatively cheesy. Sid seemed the most grounded, with Aki right behind. And then once you got into the military people, it was like, come on.
I mean, just complete.
Straight up, we gotta get out of here, sir. But they still said it with a sort of this wasn't a paycheck. It seemed like they thought they were in something special, and
into it.
And yeah, they at least were into it, which made you again not suspend a little bit more disbelief, because these people are and we'll get, when we get to the reviews, I agreed with our positive review that it took a while to find a positive review, but with what they said. Yeah. So with a movie like this, there's a huge development cycle. This movie had a budget, let me double check, I believe it was $137 million. $45 million of that was just building their office in Hawaii, which closed in 2002. It was a 5-year cycle. $45 million for a farmhouse, for an animation farmhouse, is great. That's wonderful. That they were like, you know what? We're dedicated to this. Crap. Nobody liked it. Never mind. Let's try to recoup our losses as much as possible. This was the first feature-length motion capture movie ever made, which is a huge feather in a cap. Now most video game productions, it comes standard. Avatar used motion capture a lot. So when it comes to the animation style and the type of world and the type of capture that this movie did, have you seen Avatar?
Yes, I have.
Okay. How do you think it's a common matchup for some reason that people compare these two together, probably for the Uncanny Valley effect, but how do you think the two compare?
I mean, Avatar is a beautiful film, but it also is very heavy CGI, and that you can really tell in a lot of cases, especially when they match it up with the really stark realistic type stuff. Whereas this, I mean, it was very realistic, very gritty, and sometimes with these kind of supernatural elements, but it was all animated.
Compared to having an eye to compare the super digital heavy effects next to people makes you go, well, that's not grass. Like it almost like with like Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, with the Jeep scene where they could have put it on a treadmill with like one of those old rolling backdrops from like the 30s, and it would have been a little bit more realistic. One of my favorite ideas was that they compared this a lot to Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first film to use full cell animation. And it's true. This is a new world. Like with Toy Story, that was a huge landmark film, and this can stand up as a landmark film for some of the different reasons. A little bit more akin to digital filmmaking, and another thing that I liked about this, and this just makes me sad as an editor. This film consists of 141,964 frames, with each frame taking 90 minutes to render. And
amazing how much work went into it.
The 200
time.
people put in a combined 120 years of work, which in a 4-year span, these poor people, as much as they got a chance to see their work on the big screen, it must have been like, thank God it's over.
I cannot imagine the relief these people felt after finally being able to complete that project and step away from it.
It's like, just let it live. It's happening. July, excellent. Hopefully people go. Hopefully people enjoy. We got somebody in chat, Willis Wheeler. I went to see this day one, was mad when I walked out of the movies. Now, for something like that, and we'll get into critical response, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the creative side. So let's actually bring up a picture really quick of Hironobu Sakaguchi. This man is the father of Final Fantasy, as well as Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, and Parasite Eve and Lost Odyssey for the Xbox 360. Those were all games that he served as director of, and I wanted to add Kingdom Hearts. He was a producer of. That was all Tetsuya Nomura's baby, but that still has a lot of similar things, even to the point where in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, they added a new character named Master Ericus, who they modeled after Sakaguchi because he is essentially the father of Square. And with a guy as creative as Sakaguchi, he's presented so many different ideals and ways to sort of bring awareness to a lot of different ideas in the interactive space. But with what do you think is the message of Spirits Within?
Of Spirits Within, it had a very not religious tone to it, but a very spiritual tone. Almost going back to the Gaia, going back to this Earth spirit.
Yeah, the Earth spirit of Gaia.
And kind of this connection.
Dude, I watch Captain Planet. I know Gaia.
Right.
Whoopi Goldberg, come on in.
But just the connection between the Earth and people was an interesting theme to look into.
I agree. It didn't necessarily. I think it had some environmentalist ideas where it comes to when it comes to like we all have a connection to the planet, and after we die, we either strengthen or weaken the planet as a whole with that energy. Now, how literal that may actually be is one thing, but the idea that we all have a legacy, no matter how big, no matter how small. It's very cool, very, very, it makes everybody kind of feel good, a little bit uplifted.
Yeah, it's a very inclusive kind of idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. And in that sense, in including Gaia, which was, he wanted to name the movie Gaia, but by putting the Final Fantasy brand on it, you get a little bit more eyes, you get a little bit more fans of that brand in there. But if he had kept it with Gaia, I know he's used the idea of Gaia and the idea of the energy of the planet. I know that was with Final Fantasy VII, and a lot of different others. But I know this isn't him still, but even Kingdom Hearts has like a planet energy unlocks whatever. Yeah,
it's all connected.
It's all connected. Everybody, every planet, every world. So I think in a weird way, in a weird roundabout way, that spiritual. This is the spiritual predecessor to the Final Fantasy series, because at the end of the movie we see Gaia sort of take out the whole phantom infection, quote-unquote infection, and as a result, the whole planet, while it was attacked on like a core level, it kind of has to rebuild itself. So there is still that modern technology, but there's like the husks of the life that used to be there, and whether or not the life has been brought back or else people have to start over. And I think there's at least one or two Final Fantasy movies Final Fantasy games where I think this could work as a prequel.
That's a really interesting kind of thought. I didn't think about it that way at first, but it does work as a kind of precursor to what's to come. That beginning start or push, beginning.
The beginning start.
The beginning push.
Yeah.
Too.
And I think if you frame it like that, I mean, I think this is an enjoyable movie overall. Mm-hmm. I mean, the animation, you have to take any animated movie, you have to take as a product of its time, and this definitely has some elements where it's like, yeah, this is from late 90s, early 2000s, but while the actual dialogue may be super cheesy and hokey, there's a reason that dialogue stands the test of time sometimes, because you associate it to a little bit more than you don't have to rely on the dialogue. You associate it with other types of media where you've heard that dialogue before, and it generalizes it. That's a terrible word to use, but it sort of assembles everything in a way to go, oh yeah, this is like one of those movies. I like that movie. I'll watch it again when it's on. What did you think about the essentially the ideas and the story? The ideas versus story. So not necessarily the dialogue that would take you from one scene to the next, but what the movie was trying to tell us.
Oh, kind of going through the motion.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very classic kind of good versus evil in a way, but it was kind of convoluted. Good versus evil. And as we kind of moved through it, things got even more kind of messy.
Yeah.
The characters almost tried to be very clear-cut at first, and then just kind of, well, at least as far as the evil went, it just went full evil towards the end. Yeah. Which was a little weird for me.
Hein was a very bizarre character, but it's another theme in the Final Fantasy games where it's two people trying to do the same thing with different means.
Right.
And this went into full schlocky action movie villain where he was almost like usually another show that we do on the Popcorn Talk Network, Action Movie Anatomy. One of the rules that they have of their action movies is the good guy and the bad guy have to be the two smartest people in the movie. And didn't feel that with Hein, but he had we got to see the tiny bit of him, the picture of his wife and kid. That alone made me go, well, of course he's irrational.
Yeah. I mean, that completely humanized him and his motives and why he was doing what he was doing.
Agreed.
So, it made more sense. There was still a complete shift that happened later than that, though. I think that was a little less explained.
I
got weird.
Again, when we get to my favorite line, because that just totally broke him as a character for me. And it's, I mean, so many great lines, quote unquote great lines to pick from. But from top to bottom, this film was, I definitely think that it's worth a watch. I think some of the character designs of the Phantoms are a little dated.
Yeah, they were.
They're like, wow, this is.
Yeah, it's like this is the best kind of.
What you want to do? Like of the standard like soldier ant Phantoms, they were really cool when they were orange and wispy. But when you get to the visions and the dreams where it's them actually as they are, just like, oh wow, that sucks.
That's the design, yeah.
I'm sorry for you.
It was a little
maybe your planet doesn't. Maybe somebody sent. Maybe somebody blew up your planet so that you could look cool and orange and wispy. Do you think about that? Huh?
Yes, that was the secret behind this entire plot of the movie.
It was just wanted to make cool orange wispy dudes with dreadlocks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What did you think about the actual assimilation, I guess we'll call it, when people's souls actually got taken out of their body?
It was kind of cool to see the way that they did it. It was kind of confusing through the movie of how these phantoms attacked and whether they were corporeal or if they were completely, I guess phantoms and ghosts, because sometimes they would just pass through people, and then drag their souls out of their body. And then other times they could be shot, and I mean they made them bleed once.
Yeah.
which it was kind of inconsistent in that way.
That
so
was
it
one of the
confusing.
parts of the movie that I will agree kind of took me out when you thought about it, because you have this whole military machine that's like spirits, Gaia, what?
Right.
And yet they've developed technology that can pierce through. They have to have some sort of a belief. They're seeing these people get something, like their life essence, spirit, whatever you want to call it, pulled from their body, and they're like, nah,
No.
I don't believe it, but we need to develop bullets against ghost technology. So when
We're fighting ghosts, but we refuse to believe that they're ghosts.
they're not ghosts.
But we're gonna develop the tech for it.
It's like mountains. They're there, but they're not really there. Nobody believes that. Stop your lies. All of your mountain propaganda. Plus 10 to orange wisps from a Rob S in chat. So yeah, there's some inconsistent stuff when it comes to the military machine, but really, how consistent is a military machine?
That's fair.
But so we'll get into the critical reception and the box office portion. We'll talk a little bit more about story as we wrap up. But this movie opened up July 11th, 2001. And it had an opening of it did a 32 million opening weekend. Oh no, I'm sorry, 11 million opening weekend. It opened at number 4. And keep in mind, this was Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the first one's 5th week, and it's still at number 10. That movie was pretty critically successful, but this was number 4 to Legally Blonde. Understandable. That movie was a juggernaut. The Score, which was a Robert De Niro mob-esque type of movie, it lost to Cats and Dogs.
Oh God.
But to be honest, like for a weekend like this, this was a lot of opening for stuff. But Cats and Dogs had been, I think it was number 1 the week before. But that's kids movie, family movie. Let's go see Cats and Dogs: The Secret Agents.
Those are usually pretty popular. I mean, you need something to take the family to on the weekend. You're
Exactly.
gonna go see a movie like that.
Like this past couple of weeks, it was like The Intern, Hotel Transylvania, Scorched Trials, The Martian. So there's one clear decision there when you want to take your kids to a movie, and that's Hotel Transylvania. So it's a similar thing here. While it is an animated movie in 2001, it being so realistic, it might have put some people off. It didn't get as many fans in as they wanted. This was considered a flop. It totally grossed $85 million of its $137 million budget, so definitely didn't make anything back, or everything back. But I think this is one that could live on. You give this for free with a PlayStation purchase or something. I don't know. There's a way that you can.
Yeah.
There's so many ways of aftermarketing movies now that you could make some of that back. Square Pictures, which I don't even think exists anymore. And the critical reception, IMDb has it at a 6.4. And Rotten Tomatoes, the audience puts it at 48%. All of the top critics put it at 44%, evening it out at a 46%. And now some of our reviews. Lisa Allspector from the Chicago Reader. Excuse me. I never stopped marveling at the thousands of individually delineated pores and hair strands of the heroine, but the thin story covering her acquisition of one wave after another while narrowly escaping death time and again is strictly for player one. I don't know what that means. I don't know what strictly for player one means. It's like it should be kept in games.
That line confused me a bit too.
I think it's like it should be keep it as an interactive medium.
Right.
Keep your games as games, damn it. But then I actually really like this review. This is from Todd McCarthy of Variety. So a little bit more cloud than the Chicago Reader, but Todd McCarthy said, "This big screen adaptation of the long popular interactive computer game is visually impressive, if not dramatically cool, and is marked by acting that is no worse than found in the majority of sci-fi films," which is absolutely correct, and I agree with.
I loved that point because absolutely. I mean, sci-fi movies, they're cheesy. They're going to be cheesy. There's going to be kind of off acting sometimes, but as a whole, this movie definitely stood up to those acting standards.
Yeah, when you have the cast like you do, who are so interested in the product, there's no way that they can make you believe it. If you get like anybody who's looking for a job, no offense, also looking for a job, to act in any sci-fi movie that you can, sometimes the script may not be all the way there, so people go in knowing, oh, this is I'm doing Lavalantula, so I know this isn't going to be my acting tour de force, so I'm going to ham it up. But with something like this, it had the chance to be something special. I still think it is something special, and a lot better performances in here than in some other stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially Lavalantula, Sharknado, but you go in knowing that.
Right. You expect that kind of acting and that kind of just presence and atmosphere with those movies.
And the score, the haunting score, really kind of gave it a little bit more. Yeah,
Yes,
the music in this movie was great.
It was.
And I think this actually topped off. This was a bestseller. The soundtrack to this movie was a bestseller. I forgot what it topped off at on the Billboard charts, but I do know that the credit song, the one that we opened up the show with, that was nominated for an Academy Award. It lost to If I Didn't Have You. If I forgot the song from Monsters Inc. You know what I mean?
The song. Yes.
Yeah, the end credit song from Monsters Inc. Don't blame the Academy for voting that in. This was really dramatic. When So at the very end of the movie, when Gaia it frees all of the spirit and the phantoms wisp away, and the little bit of wisp goes through Dr. Sid and he goes, like, it's so warm, or it feels warm, and then it went up to the sky and went, that's not the last line of the movie. That can't be. That's the last line of the damn movie!
I kept waiting for something else to come up after that eagle was flying through. I was like, all right, there's got to be, like, just something else to end it with. Something else.
Or even though there was no narration for the entirety of the movie, even it was just like, thanks to the efforts of Dr. Aki Ross, and that, like, so, or have her say something like,
she did a couple voiceover moments,
like the nightmares are over, this, that, the other thing, and finally Gaia can be at peace, or something like that. So it's something nice to send the movie home, as opposed to it feels so warm, which is quaint and kind of like, oh, that's fun, but then you just go, what?
It's like, no, hold on, you're not ending it on that, right?
That's like, yeah, if it's like, yeah, kind of. It's kind of the opposite effect of a movie like The Last Unicorn, where it starts with a really like cool song that places everything, whereas this one starts and you see an eagle just flying around the earth where everything's kind of coming back to normal. The sun's coming out. Aki's being lifted out from the crater. Right. That was another thing, is I was like, she can't just climb out of that crater. They better have an airlift or something, or someone.
You just see her come over the top lip and you're like,
just like, ugh.
How?
Nope. No.
So at least we didn't go that route. That was
like, I've just given up. That last thing where where Gray just sacrificed himself, I gave up there. You're lucky I lasted this long. You can't just like have Gaia like wisp her up to the surface or something. Mm-hmm. So from there,
they're buddies now. She can get rides on Gaia whenever she wants.
Just go through the core of the earth. Hey. So what was your favorite line or lines in the movie?
You know what? As horribly cheesy and cliche as they were, anything Neil said was pretty great.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed the cheesy lines. And I mean, not that the comic relief was always necessary when they used it, and it was pretty much all of his lines.
Especially when he interrupted his comic relief with comic relief.
Yeah.
Like when he was trying to fix the panel to get the ship off. Yeah, that was...
interrupts himself with...
It's like, hey!
It's like, oh gosh, calm down.
Can you stop saying something funny? I'm saying something funny here. Well... You can't. I mean, that's Buscemi. So, did you have anything else? Or was it? I mean, that's a lot of lines.
That
so
was
I don't blame
a lot
you.
of lines.
Mine was General Hine when he first lets the Phantoms into New York, and he says, "What have I done?" And then he goes, "You know what? No, I'm gonna go to the laser anyway."
Yep.
Even though he clearly has a moment of clarity where he figures out that he was wrong.
He bounces around so much in that moment, just all over the place.
Nah, we're fine in here, whatever. My
I've
God, they're here.
This far. Let's keep going.
Hey, General, they're here. Whatever. Wait, how did they get in here? Oh, God, I hate you. And then, of course, he goes up to the Zeus laser, and they're like, bro, no, it's going to overheat. No, damn it, we're going to keep fighting.
Too bad.
No, exactly. Nope. And just totally goes to the manual controls and kills, like, we don't know how many colonies are left on Earth. But you have what's left. You have a lot of soldiers left over from the military machine, literally, and you just killed them all. You just doomed them all out. Those poor people who had their own pictures of their wife and kids. They're like, I'm doing this for the right reasons, and now some hope.
Doesn't care about them.
What I would have loved to seen, and this is just super ancillary, and you can totally do it now, is as he was making his way in, and you saw like the shots in space of the laser firing. If you saw escape pods, So you saw
there's
people
people
going
getting
like,
out, yeah.
I'm out, bro.
Bye.
F this, dude. I'm super
I know
out.
I signed up for this, but it's not going this far.
No,
Live
like
through this. Yeah.
like because the guy like once the door closes, all right, he's gone crazy. We're out.
Get out now.
Let's do it, people. Let's go to docking A and
I feel
let's
like
get the crap out of here.
Yeah, especially in these sci-fi movies, you need a contingency plan like that for all the other poor people who get caught up in this nonsense.
It's like the people who sign up for the good cause and then they realize, oh wait, are we the bad guys? Crap,
Yeah.
are we the bad guys?
These
And
poor people.
yeah, I would like to see that moment a little bit more, but that would have just totally put it into comedy.
Oh, yeah.
For no reason at the very end. So let's go to a fun segment where we're going to recast the movie. So Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within is coming out July 11th, 2016. Ooh, yeah. So we've got our let's just do the 4 main characters.
Okay,
Let's
sounds
just
good.
keep it there. So we've got Aki, Gray, Sid, and Hein. So let's start with Aki. Who did you? I know you had trouble picking for Aki.
Yeah, Ming-Na Wen was really hard to replace because I think she's fantastic. She's a goddess in my eyes.
Plus 10 to goddess.
Yes.
Could you even?
I could not even.
Ooh, so we're sticking with Ming-Na
I'm
Wen?
sticking with Ming-Na Wen. I would recast her.
Very
I would
first
give
segment,
her-
breaking the rules.
I'm breaking the rules. I'm
Dig
sorry.
it. So I it took me a little while to think about it, but because I think she fits visually the character very much so, and I think as kind of a nod, I think that she deserves it. Chloe Bennett from Agents of Shield,
that's a great
Daisy Johnson.
one.
I think she's on the show. She's essentially in training. She's in
Right,
training by May anyway.
They've kind of got their thing going there anyway.
Yeah, and I think
they're
this
very similar.
This would be a fun nod. I think she would knock it out of the park, and it would be her first foray into this sort of world. I'll do Gray first. So that's Alec Baldwin's part. I want to see Chris Pratt do that.
Chris Pratt. You
Chris
know,
Pratt.
I considered Chris Pratt.
Yeah?
I did.
Who'd you pick?
I thought about it. I'm not sure. I can't explain exactly why.
We'll try.
That I also thought about Nathan
Alexis in the
Fillion.
booth suggested Nathan Fillion. Not a bad choice.
No, that was another one of my thoughts. I put Lee Pace.
What type of a voice?
Kind of playing off of more like Pushing Daisies days. I thought would be interesting. Kind of a different.
Yeah, that's definitely a different Brendan Fraser. Yeah. Today though, I don't know what he's doing today. He might be like, you guys got work for me, but
I'll take it.
yeah, that's a Brendan Fraser part. I like Lee Pace a lot. I didn't think about that. Chris Pratt, I figure is kind of like a textbook
good one.
answer, but I like Lee Pace a lot. Yeah, no,
kind
let's
of
go
a
with
fun
Lee
one.
Pace on that one. Let's go with Lee Pace on that one.
Pace? All right.
What did you put down for Sid?
For Sid, that was another one that was really tough for me. I kind of thought Idris Elba would be good.
Yeah, like an elder statesman type.
Yeah.
I think there's also I think Jeff Bridges is turning into that Donald Sutherland
Right.
type.
He's kind of growing into that.
The old wise
position.
guy, the old wise man. Alexis in the booth agrees. So yeah, I'd like Idris. Idris Elba can do anything. We can
I
recast this
agree.
whole movie as Idris Elba.
At one point, I was looking at the list and I was like, well, Tatiana Maslany can play everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're absolutely right with
I
that
was like,
too.
she's got it.
That's fine. That's perfect. Jeez. Yeah, I really like that one too. But I mean, the fact that we got Keith David in this, you could put, if you expand that role, make that Idris Elba. But actually, I could. This wasn't who I put for Hein, but I think Idris Elba could be Hein as well.
Behind?
But I put James Spader because Spader's kind of the new James
That's good, yeah.
Woods. And he can monologue and he can kind of make those irrational decisions and you'll believe it. Mm-hmm. He's kind of that guy. But what did you put? Who did you put?
So for Hein, and this started off being based mostly just on his look. Benedict Cumberbatch was my thought, which was tough because Star Trek Into Darkness was moderately successful.
I don't want to hear him
that.
say this dialogue.
No.
Benedict Cumberbatch is under this dialogue, so I wouldn't even.
That's a very good point.
as cool as that would be, if he said, "Can I say this my own way, please? Can I just do? Can I just wing it,
Change it, yeah.
please?" because I can't imagine him going, what have I done? Like, no, I can't, no. And then he still goes up and
really fun imagining him saying it that way.
Yeah, I want to do an interview with him now, and I want to get some of Hein's dialogue. Just be like, can you just do a couple samples for me? Just a thing. This is just for private use, personal use.
Just need to know.
Alexis in the booth is suggesting Harrison Ford for a Hein, and he's too mumbly. I don't, like, these days he'll be like, what have I done? Just like super quiet. Not
true.
Like you would bring the name value of like, holy crap, that's Harrison Ford. But I don't think his voice has a quality for a movie like this.
No, you probably need a little bit of a stronger. Especially with where that character goes.
Yeah, this is definitely a character. So you need somebody with a character voice, somebody with an interesting trait. Like a Johnny California sort of a thing. So this movie, what are your final thoughts? Just to put it in an easier way, what do you think about this movie? What is your last word?
I mean, I had some problems with it, and there were a few moments where it was hard to suspend disbelief enough to keep on with it. But I actually, for a sci-fi movie, not considered directly within the Final Fantasy realm, then it was really enjoyable as far as a sci-fi movie goes. It's a good thing to kind of casually put on, and when you have to shut down a little bit. It was kind of a fun. This is something.
This is like a Saturday afternoon. Like, I gotta clean the room. I'll put on Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Yeah. I can see that. This. I was going in expecting just a train wreck.
That's what I thought would happen too.
That's the reputation this movie's had. But I've come to realize anything that people say are bombs, I usually tend to enjoy just because I have
that happens to me a lot too.
like with your Tomorrowlands, your Lone Rangers. I love those movies. Those are great.
Sometimes if they're really bad, they're really fun.
Yeah, because they throw inhibition away.
But I don't think this one was actually really bad.
I don't think this movie was fun.
No, it was not fun. It was not fun.
That's what I thought you were going to say. This movie isn't fun, but I enjoyed it.
It's not fun. But.
Yeah, I think that this is one that if you have never taken a gander, if you always thought, oh, this looks weird, it does take a little while to get into the visual style, but they establish it right off the bat. This is this world. Get used to it. You're going to have to deal with it. You'll see some stuff you recognize, some stuff that you go, oh, that's some cool spacey timey-wimey type of stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I would give this movie an extra life. I think Sakaguchi could make another movie in this realm, whether it's directly based off of a Final Fantasy game or if he wants to play in the creative space that he has, because he's flipping. I'll say that he's a creative genius when it comes to video games, and I think he has a mind to make a really interesting thought. What would you give this? Instead of doing a rating system, we used to do a rating system on the show. Now we got one of two options: game over or an extra life.
I think I'd give it an extra life too. Yeah, I do.
A little bit more Gaia.
Yeah. Flesh it out a little bit more, and you could keep going with this universe, kind of play with it some more. And Alexis in the booth agrees. That this movie, it made me think a lot more than I thought, and not in like a whoa, but it brings you a little bit more awareness. I don't know. I don't want to sound like too hoity-toity, but it makes you go think about the Earth and your spot in it a little bit more, and I think that's what it was supposed to do. Yeah, it introduced a cool idea to kind of ruminate on. And I did, So let's ruminate on this. The ending when you have a few minutes with that epic song playing in the background, and then they switch to like J-pop, right, or J-rock. I definitely sat there through that whole ending though, and just kind of thought about it for a little while, which I didn't expect. That's what a good ending song's supposed to do, though. It worked. It was effective. As a movie, this got the job done. Was it one of the best movies we've ever seen? No. Is it one that I would watch again? Maybe after some prodding. Maybe after like, yo, check out this weird movie that I watched the other week. And in that aspect, I would watch this again if Sakaguchi wanted to take another stab at it. You heard it here from Video Game Movie Anatomy. Sakaguchi, please don't shy away from movies. I know it's been about 15 years, but if you get a chance, do it. Now's the time.
Might as well. I mean,
not?
it's a lot easier. You can connect to your fan base a little bit easier, and we'll be right there to see it with you. So, Stacey, thank you for joining us on the show.
Glad to be here.
I hope that we I hope that we can have you on for some more stuff in the future.
I will be back.
Good.
As long as you'll have me.
All right,
I'll
so
be around.
let the fine folks at home know where they can find you in the meantime.
Okay, well, I'm on the Twitterverse as Ye Old Nerd.
It's right there on the lower third.
That's right. Because I am an ye old nerd doing
Because
stuff.
I'm an old nerd. Wait, no, that's
not quite
not
an old
accurate. And you also
Just
do
an
some
English
writing
lit
for nerds doing
For
stuff.
nerds doing stuff, I'm also a nerd doing stuff.
And it's
We've been
a
doing a lot of stuff. I know.
great website. I mean, I'm a fan not just because you're a friend, but because you actually do stuff. You do some like Loot Crate hacks where you take something and from Loot Crate and you make it special. You like, hey, here's something that everybody got. Well, mine's even more special. Here's something
Mine's
that
unique. I just want to have special things.
but well, the nice thing is you show people how to do that. Yeah. So make sure to check out nerdsdoingstuff.com. I wrote for you once upon a time, and I really need to do it again, but I've been doing too much stuff for this dang studio. And
What a shame. Gosh. No, okay. Please come back. We need you.
You can find me on Twitter at SoapboxMark. You can find all of us here at Popcorn Talk Network. And please stay tuned next week. Follow us on Twitter so that we can let you know what movie we're watching. We're looking to do Halo Forward Unto Dawn. So please follow us on Twitter using the hashtag VGMAnatomy. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.